Has it ever crossed your mind how the British royal family actually makes their money? You might not be so eager to know their dealings, but you need to understand that this family pumps millions of pounds of sterling into the British economy yearly. Yet, they still have enough money to throw lavish billion-dollar events without a shake in their pockets. So we really can't help but ask ourselves, where does all this money come from? Join us as we take a deep dive into the billion-dollar business empire the British royal family has strategically run for years. But be sure to stick with us till the end as we take an even deeper look at the role each family member plays in keeping this business afloat. Because one thing is clear, these guys are as much in business as they are a family. Without further ado, let's begin. The British Royal House of Windsor has been the ruling monarch of the United Kingdom and other Commonwealth realms since 1917. During their time in power, they have managed to spread their influence to numerous businesses across the United Kingdom, from real estates in London to farmlands in Scotland. You need to understand that no one really made any in-depth research into the source of their wealth until Prince Harry and his wife, Meghan Markle, did an explosive interview with Oprah Winfrey on how the royal family made their wealth. They garnered their wealth by running a well-established empire called the Firm, or Monarchy PLC. So, what is the Firm? Well, the Firm can be described as both members of the royal family and a business. And that's because, to these people, being a family is a business of its own. The Firm was established by Prince Philip, husband of Queen Elizabeth II. The aim of establishing the Firm was to avoid any scandalous acts by any associate or member of the royal family from going public. They run multiple strings of businesses and made conscious efforts to keep these businesses a secret. Some of the efforts they put in place to make sure their operations were kept a secret involve influencing the British media. The royal family, or should I say the Firm, is reported to spend about $70 million annually in a bid to make sure the entire United Kingdom view them and their operations in the way they desire. Since the exit of Prince Harry and his wife, the Firm has developed a new inner circle called the Firm of Eight. The need for this was to keep certain secrets of the Firm from getting leaked by extended members of the royal family. The 8 members are the former Queen of the United Kingdom, Queen Elizabeth II, her eldest son, King Charles III and his wife, Camilla, Prince William and his wife, Kate, the Queen's daughter, Princess Anne, and Prince Edward and his wife, Sophie. We now know the exact members of the Firm, but what business do they run and how much are they even worth? First off, the business empire the Firm runs has an estimated net worth of $28 billion. But what if I told you they amassed a part of that amount by simply influencing certain sectors of the UK economy? For example, the British family has a warrant stamp of approval they issue on consumer products to certify their authenticity. According to a report from Forbes, this single act can boost a product's gross purchase by at least 10%. These products range from whiskey brands to food to clothes and so on. But their formal influence in the UK isn't totally responsible for their amazing net worth. As with anything related to the royal family, it goes a little bit deeper and is very complicated. The one thing that boasts their net worth is the total valuation of the assets they own. Since ascending to the throne in 1952, Queen Elizabeth II, before passing away on September 8, 2022, was in control of a number of UK properties, grants, and farms that streamlined millions of dollars into their pockets. These properties are owned and managed by a body called the Crown Estate. The Crown Estate holds properties worth $19.2 billion for the reigning monarch in the UK. What this means is that these assets cannot be sold by the royal family, but are somehow managed by them. Some of the assets being managed are Buckingham Palace, retail properties in West London, and some commercial land across the nation. As you would expect, the royal family does not manage these properties for free. They profit off the assets in Crown Estate by receiving sovereign grants. This might get a little confusing, but try to keep up. The sovereign grants are kind of like salary that the UK government pay the reigning members of the royal family for maintaining these properties. Between 2018 and 2019, the sovereign grants pulled in around $100 million in revenue, with about $38 million going to the royal family to take care of their travel expenses, staff salary at Buckingham Palace, and basically to keep the lights on in there. In 2020, Crown Estate pulled in a staggering revenue of $500 million, with the royal family also taking home $125 million. The royal family also receive another form of grant from the Duchy of Lancaster known as the Privy Purse. Though the Privy Purse doesn't channel as many millions as the Crown Estate does, they did allocate about $30 million to the royal family in 2021. Another prominent member of the firm who now controls the entire affairs of the establishment is King Charles III, the current king of the United Kingdom. With the death of the Queen, King Charles, her eldest son, ascended the throne and is now the ruling power in the UK. However, before the death of the Queen, King Charles and his wife Camilla were in charge of running a private property called the Duchy of Cornwall. The Duchy of Cornwall is a $1 billion investment in landed property which is managed by the Duke of Cornwall, who is the heir apparent to the throne. While Queen Elizabeth was still the ruling monarch, Charles was the heir to the throne, and so was the Duke of Cornwall. The property boasts over 130,000 acres of land in more than 20 English countries. Just like properties in the Crown Estate, King Charles III and his wife Camilla Parker Bowles could not sell any of the property in the Duchy of Cornwall, but did receive income from the revenue generated by the properties. King Charles and his wife were paid 90% of the proceedings from the Duchy of Cornwall during his time as the Duke. But since he now sits on the throne, his son and heir to the throne, Prince William, will become the new Duke of Cornwall, in turn managing the Duchy of Cornwall. In 2021, the Duchy of Cornwall generated $50 million in revenue, with Charles and his wife receiving $30 million from that amount. This is more money than he received from the sovereign grant of Crown Estate in the same year. So, what happens to King Charles' siblings and the other children of Elizabeth III? I mean, they are still part of the firm, so how do they profit? Well, Prince Edward, Princess Anne, and Prince Andrew get paid through the Duchy of Lancaster. The Duchy of Lancaster is similar to the Duchy of Cornwall. It's also an array of land properties reaching a worth of $740 million. The property consists of over 46,000 acres of land across 7 English countries. These guys are experts at what they do and have held this business running for over 100 years. No mistakes, no lapses, and no one in the inner circle is left behind. While King Charles was still the Duke of Cornwall, he placed his son and second heir to the throne, Prince William, along with his wife Kate, in charge of boosting sales of consumer products without using the official royal family stamp. The royal family took this step in a bid to augment the flush of cash lining their pockets. And I have to say, it was a brilliant move. Here's how they did it. Prince William and his wife were granted the power to boost brands without needing the official approval of Elizabeth II while she was still queen. All they needed to do was act as influencers. That's right, like the typical Kardashian family style of raking in millions. In 2015, a certain brand named G.H. Hurt & Sons recorded over 100,000 visits to their store after Prince William's wife, Kate, showed a photo of their daughter Charlotte in a baby shawl made by the brand. In 2017, the formal influencing of brands by Prince William and his wife helped add a mouth-watering $170 million to the UK economy, and that figure has been on a steady increase ever since. We don't exactly know for sure how much Prince William made from this, but what we do know is that this skillfully built business empire by the royal family was on the verge of crumbling. In 2020, with the global pandemic ravaging the world, the royal family witnessed their own stint of financial loss. The Crown Estate's valuation dipped to around $13.7 billion, reducing the sovereign grant to the royal house. Forbes estimated the Queen's net worth to be $500 million, but a portion of that money was lost to lack of tourism in the UK. At the end of the day, with a large portion of the royal family's holdings being in real estate, their century-old business might crumble even more with increased inflation in real estate, aided by the fact that most commercial companies easily carry out their operations remotely. With all this in mind, we just have to ask ourselves, is this billion business empire going out of business? If you enjoyed this video, then you should watch these two videos I made for you. You'll be glad you did.